There's a secret art style or art technique that is most visible in Oda's early art style for One Piece. I couldn't find an official name for it, so I'll call it line smoothing or beautiful lines. The technique of line smoothing is when an artist turns complex connected lines into simpler, smoother lines. These smoother lines are usually S curves and C curves. This technique is visible on several characters, but the most prominent example is Sanji. He wears an all-black suit and black shoes, so Oda uses this as an opportunity to smooth out his outline rather than include all the small details that would make the lines complex. Details like cloth folds and separation between jacket and pants may disappear for cleaner lines. His limbs and torso are simplified to tube-like shapes to reduce detail. Luffy has this too. This results in beautiful lines that are partially cartoony, but have a sense of intentionality that makes them appealing to look at. In this video, I'll try to look at the history of beautiful lines and explain how you can apply it to your artwork. The earliest examples I can find of consistent line smoothing are Disney's animated films. I believe part of the reason they did this was to reduce the amount of effort it took to draw each frame of animation, but it also resulted in a unique style. The focus was on the beauty of the lines rather than the realism of the anatomy. How an artist creatively smooths out complex lines into one elegant line was beautiful, which is why I called it beautiful lines. Look at these images from old and new Disney movies. Hopefully the colored lines I added highlight how certain lines were simplified into smoother ones. I'll also add alternate lines to show how the lines could have been more complex. A common use of this is to fuse the lines between clothes and skin. Instead of adding extra lines to the outline to indicate that the cloth has ended and the skin has started, they make the whole outline smooth and trust that the inside lines will be enough to indicate the separation. This can be done on skin-tight clothes, like the Prince and Jasmine. It could be done on puffier clothes, like Aurora. It could be done on one side of the clothing, like Cinderella. The smoothing of the different cloths and skin can be seen in One Piece too. In some of these images, you can see the idea of simple versus complex being used, which I discussed in another video about shape language. It should be in the description. The next major example I can think of is Bruce Timm's art style in the DCAU, primarily Justice League. The same simplification techniques can be seen. Characters wear outfits that match the silhouette of their anatomy. The outlines don't indicate when cloth ends and skin starts. Superman's cape breaks the smooth outline, but Batman's doesn't. There are examples of simple versus complex, very clear in this Batman Beyond sketch. Even the way the anatomy is drawn is simplified in certain areas, like the arms of men. One Piece simplifies the anatomy even more by turning limbs and torsos into tubes. The Teen Titans cartoon uses beautiful lines a little, but not in the exaggerated way of DCAU. It doesn't super simplify the anatomy, but the traits of skin-tight clothes, lack of clothing folds, and many long curves for the outline are present, just a little sharper. Now, some anime and manga examples. Let's start with Saint Seiya Omega. In this casual outfit, you can see how the jeans have been mostly simplified into curved tubes. His arm sleeves are skin tight, but the outline has a lot of long curves. When suited up, the line work is more apparent. The torso and limbs are made up of several long curved lines. Some of them end in points where they could just round out to continue the curve, but this is probably to create a more aggressive and sharp masculine look. Teen Titans did the same thing. You can see more of the line work in the group pic. Even though they are wearing cloth and armor, it often doesn't show in the outline. In these posters, one side of the leg is simplified to a curve, while the other side keeps the details, simple versus complex. In Precure, the line smoothing is most apparent in the legs. It looks like one long winding curve from hip to the ankle on the outline. One image even has a smooth curve from the neck down to the shoulder down to the elbow. The smoothing makes the artwork look so clean and intentional. Artwork from Lupin III Part 4 also uses beautiful lines. This artwork actually includes clothing folds, but they are often shaped in curves that match with the aesthetic of the style. Similar to One Piece, the legs are simplified into tube-like shapes. It doesn't have the exaggerated smoothing of blending clothes and skin, but it does have the focus on long lines and elegant curves. A little simplification can be seen in Soul Eater. If you look at a lot of the legs, they are simplified to tubes drawn with curved lines. Maka, Soul, and Kid are the best examples. Maka and Kid's arm sleeves are also like this. Catenaccio is a manga that uses beautiful lines in the most interesting way. Instead of simplifying the outlines and removing folds with long lines, the art draws out complex folds with long and short curves. It's more similar to Lupin's application, but with a slant towards complexity. I like this style and technique so much that I started applying it to my own manga. I've done simple versus complex like Disney and Bruce Timm. I've smoothed out lines to eliminate the distinction between shirt and pants like One Piece, especially in dynamic poses. I've used tube-like limbs. I've used skin-tight clothes like Saint Seiya and Precure. And I've even used the curvy folds like Lupin and Catenaccio. The appeal of this art style for me is how artists cleverly take shortcuts, but with artistic intentionality that makes the shortcut look as beautiful as the long road. Comparison would be Sakuga shortcuts, like when fast movement turns into smears, swords become triangles, or debris turns into cubes. These are all animation shortcuts, but they also look beautiful and sometimes preferable to the long road. That's how I feel about beautiful lines. It also makes the artwork look more elegant because of how pleasing the long lines appear. These are the main techniques that I've gathered from my analysis. First, skin-tight outfits are often paired with this style. Second, a common form of line fusion is erasing the distinction between skin and cloth or two different pieces of cloth. Skin-tight clothes make this easier to accomplish. Third is simple versus complex. In conclusion, beautiful lines is an art style that prioritizes the beauty of long curved lines and often smooths out and simplifies details to exaggerate these elegant lines.